Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode number 238 of Bill Man the Sport Guys podcast. I'm your host, Bill Man the Sports Guy. For the latest weekly news, the NFL, NBA, MLB, NHL, college sports, WNBA, this is the podcast to be. All right. So we got a ton of news to talk about. Ton of baseball signings, two NHL trades, and then the NFL power rankings. So first, let's go to some baseball signings we have missed because whoa, was there a boatload. We got the first one with Edwin Diaz, no longer a New York Met. He is signing a 3-year, $69 million deal with the New York Mets. Congrats to the Dodgers. They got their closer. Edwin Diaz is one of the best closers in baseball, and surely he's going to bring, I don't know, 10 straight World Series champions to the Dodgers. I'm kidding on that part, but honestly, the Dodgers badly needed a closer because Tanner Scott was struggling, couldn't get the job done. So this was the good move for the Dodgers. New York Mets, are you guys okay? Because Pete Alonso, you let your best hitter walk away to the Baltimore Orioles on a 5-year, $155 million contract. You know, Pete Alonso, he's hit 34 plus home runs in since his rookie season 2019, but man, what are you doing, David Stearns or Steve Cohen? This is starting to remind me of the Kenny Williams, Rick Hahn era of White Sox baseball. I feel like we're almost going to see the Mets run it like how Rick Hahn would have right in front of our very own eyes. And not only that, you guys signed Jorge Polanco to a 2-year deal, 40 million. Good hitter, but you replace. This is what I don't understand from the Mets' point of view. You let a guy, 35, 40 home run capable hitter, walk away to a guy in Jorge Polanco who's okay, but he's never played a game at first base. Like, what are we doing? I don't get this part. I really, really don't. All right, some other big news. Taylor Rogers, the Mets let him walk. He signed with the Blue Jays on a 3-year, $37 million contract. You know, Rogers is a really good reliever and was really well with the Giants and the Mets. So good, good signing with the Blue Jays. Gives him really good, more bullpen help. Robert Suarez is signing a 3-year, $45 million contract with the Atlanta Braves. And also, the Braves are also getting Mike Yastrzemski on a 2-year, $23 million deal. I think both of these signings are good. The Braves, it's always important to sign key players and depth. So I think the Braves did that in Yastrzemski, who I think will be a good veteran outfield presence. And Robert Suarez will be really well in the bullpen. Lane Thomas, 1-year, $5.25 million deal with the Kansas City Royals. Lane Thomas, you know, he missed most of this year. And then he's been a good hitter and always solid hitter. So curious to see how he's going to work with the Royals. And they also signed Mikael Garcia. They extended him on a 5-year, $57.5 million contract. Kind of crazy that they have him locked in, but Mikael Garcia, pretty good player. So I like this move a lot from the Kansas City Royals point of view. All right, we have two more to talk about. Kenley Jensen is going to the Detroit Tigers on a 1-year deal with a 2027 club option. No money term has been announced, but interesting signing for Kenley Jensen. Was pretty solid with the Los Angeles Angels, and it's gonna be very interesting to see him in a Detroit Tigers uniform. Dustin May is signing a 1-year contract on a 1-year deal with the St. Louis Cardinals, but no money term like has been announced. Honestly, after a rough year, I like this signing a lot for the Cardinals. It's a 1-year prove-it deal, so I like this move a lot for the St. Louis Cardinals. All right, now into the NHL because there were two big trades to talk about. First one, Tristan Jarry is going to the Edmonton Oilers. In exchange, Pittsburgh gets defenseman Brett Kulak and Stuart Skinner and a 2029 second-round pick. You know, this is really shocking. We all knew the Oilers were going to trade Stuart Skinner, and then all of a sudden, 1v1, a swap between Skinner and Jarry. Honestly, I think Pittsburgh is going to rebuild, and getting a younger goaltender in Stuart Skinner will help. Tristan Jarry, he's been having an okay year. I mean, he had a 909 save percentage this season, but last season he was placed on waivers. So Pittsburgh might want to be thankful that Tristan Jarry dominated and got his trade value up for him to get traded. But from the Pittsburgh point of view, I think they're going to go in a younger direction. I still think, even though they're doing solid, but I think they're gonna fall off a cliff in just a matter of no time. And I also believe they're gonna get a young or Brett Kulak. Yeah, Brett Kulak. They're gonna get a good, steady defenseman in Kulak and Jar and Skinner. I really hope he bounces back with the Pittsburgh Penguins, but only time will tell. Now, for the Oilers' point of view, is Jarry a bit of an upgrade? Not really, but I think he'll do well with McDavid, Draisaitl, Darnell Nurse, and Evan Bouchard all in front of him. But could he lead the Oilers to a third straight Stanley Cup? That's a bit of a question mark, but I don't mind this move from both teams' point of view. This is very interesting to say the least. Next up, the biggest one. Yikes. I am so sorry to all the Vancouver Canuck fans out there because Vancouver trades Quinn Hughes to the Minnesota Wild for Marco Rossi, Zeev Belliam, Liam Ogren, and a 2026 first round pick. So, with the Wild most likely going to make the playoffs, the first round pick is going to be a late pick. And from Vancouver's point of view, I gotta be honest, I don't know much about Z Liam, but Liam Ogren was a late draft pick in I think it was the 2021 or 2020 NHL draft. Really hasn't worked out, so I'm hoping so I think Vancouver can get him used to a top nine role, and I think he's gonna play a big part of that. And then Marco Rossi, a young center. He just put up 76 points, 16 goals. It wasn't that long ago, but or that was I'm sorry, that was Quinn Hughes, but Rossi, who is a 2025 goal scorer capability on a young Vancouver Canucks team, I think he's going to be a huge role and be a good part of the future. But Vancouver, I don't know what we're going to get out of this trade because Vancouver, as much as they won't admit about rebuilding, but they're obviously going to swing the fences whenever they get the chance. Then Minnesota with Quinn Hughes. Listen, I'm a Chicago Blackhawks fan, and having to deal with Quinn Hughes in the Central Division and having to deal with a Minnesota Wild first defensive pairing line of Quinn Hughes and Brock Faber, yeah, that is not going to be fun at all. But Quinn Hughes, man, Minnesota just got arguably the best defender in his prime. This is a huge upgrade on the defensive pairing for the Minnesota Wild. I think the Wild are definitely going to knock on the door for a deep Stanley Cup playoff run this season. This is so crazy. I'm not even going to lie from both teams' point of view. So, with that being said, let's do the NFL power rankings. I believe we're going to head into week 15 or week 16. Yeah, week 16. That sounds about right. 32, Las Vegas Raiders. This team was just a no-show against the Philadelphia Eagles. 31, Cleveland Browns. Basically stunk up the joint against the Chicago Bears. I mean, the Bears just pounced all over the Cleveland Browns. New Orleans Saints at number 29 almost came back and won, but just wasn't meant to be, or they barely won. Tennessee at number 28, or number 29, sorry, they came back and won. New Orleans Saints at number 30. 28 is the New York Jets. I mean, it's what the Jets have been all year. Same with the New York Giants. Just lost to the Washington Commanders. Speaking of the Commanders, I have them at number 26 because this year has been super disappointing on Washington's end, and I just hope they can finish on a really strong season. Um, Number 25 is the Miami Dolphins. At the time of this recording, the game is still not over yet, but after looking at the score, actually, they did just lose 28-15 to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Yeah. They were a no-show against the Steelers. That's all being said. 24 is the Arizona Cardinals. I just The Cardinals, something needs to be done to them in the offseason. Number 23 is the Cincinnati Bengals. Again, they were a no-show against the Baltimore Ravens. Number 22 is the Atlanta Falcons. Good young team, but honestly, we all knew they weren't going to make the playoffs at the end of the day. Number 21 is the Carolina Panthers. Carolina, they almost got the win against the New Orleans Saints, but unfortunately it wasn't meant to be. Number 20 is the San Francisco 49ers. Held it against a young Tennessee Titans team, but it's just the amount of injuries that I always get very concerned with when it comes to ranking the 49ers. Number 19 is the Minnesota Vikings or the Minnesota Frauds, but I don't think I'll be able to call them that anymore, especially if the Wild go on to win a Stanley Cup. Um, yeah, the Vikings basically came back and won against the Dallas Cowboys. So good win. Number 18 is the Kansas City Chiefs, and we'll see how they do next season without Patrick Mahomes because, yeah, that injury looked horrific to watch. It was really brutal. Number 17 is the Houston Texans. The Texans, another good win, but a young team at the end of the day. Number 16 is the Los Angeles Chargers. Just barely got away with the Pittsburgh Penguins team. Or not Penguins, I'm sorry, the Kansas City Chiefs. Sorry, wrong sport. But anyway, Chargers, again, young team, just got to figure out what direction they're going to go. Number 15 is the Dallas Cowboys. I mean, once again, one of the most overrated teams in the NFL. There's just not a lot to say. The Cowboys, once again, were a no-show and didn't even pull out a win against the Minnesota Vikings. Tampa Bay Buccaneers number 14. Bit of a streaky game against the Atlanta Falcons and not a good ending either to where Todd Bowles, the head coach, called him out. Number 13 is the Pittsburgh Steelers. Hey, good win against the Miami Dolphins. Number 12 is the Baltimore Ravens. Ravens came and dominated the Cincinnati Bengals. Number 11 is the Jacksonville Jaguars, another one of my surprise teams this season, and they showed it again in Sunday's match against the New York Jets. But then again, it's the Jets. Number 10 is the Indianapolis Colts. Yeah, without Daniel Jones, but hey, Phillip Rivers came back and they almost pulled out a win against the Seattle Seahawks, which is even more insane to think. Now, number 9 is the Green Bay Packers. Kind of had it almost against the Denver Broncos, but this team got really banged up against the Broncos. So, Micah Parsons, that did not look good, and their chances of winning a Super Bowl just completely went down the drain. And it kills me to admit it as a Packer fan, but I hope I'm wrong. Number 8 is the Denver Broncos. Again, good win. Held still beat the Packers in Denver, and they haven't lost to them since 2007. So, good streak for the Denver Broncos. Number 7 is the Detroit Lions. Put on a good offensive performance, but at the end of the day, came back and fell short to the Los Angeles Rams, 41-34. Number 6 is the Chicago Bears. I wanted to rank them higher, but I couldn't because one, they were playing the Cleveland Browns. Had they beat, let's say, the Detroit Lions or the Packers or I believe the 49ers they play, trying to remember off the top of my head, maybe, just maybe, I would have put them in my top 3, but 6 is the best spot. Number 5, New England Patriots. They just continue to dominate, which is awesome to see. Number 4 is the Buffalo Bills. Another team, another game where they dominated. Number 3 is the Seattle Seahawks. Just barely got away with a win against the Phillip Rivers Indianapolis Colts. Crazy to put that in the same sentence together. Number 2 is the Philadelphia Eagles. After a 3-game losing streak, the Eagles, I thought they did really well and came back to work against the Las Vegas Raiders. Then at number 1, the Los Angeles Rams. I believe the second or third week in a row. The Rams, they gave a good performance, but defense was a little scary against the Detroit Lions. And also, we're going to see how this team does for the rest of the season and the playoffs because Devontae Adams had a groin injury, and I hope Puka Nakuka's okay, but man, oh man, that injury did not look good at all. Saw the injury video. It looked really, really scary. And this concludes episode number 238 of Bill Man the Sport Guys podcast. I'm your host, Bill Man the Sports Guy. For the latest weekly news of the NFL, NBA, MLB, NHL, college sports, and WNBA, this is the podcast to be. Have a good evening, everyone. Stay tuned for episode number 239. Peace.